गणेशाय नमः। सरस्वत्यै नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। ॐ निधनपतये नमः। निधनपदान्तिकाय नमः। ऊर्ध्वाय नमः। ऊर्ध्वलिङ्गाय नमः। हिरण्याय नमः। हिरण्यलिङ्गाय नमः। सुवर्णाय नमः। सुवर्णलिङ्गाय नमः। दिव्याय नमः। दिव्यलिङ्गाय नमः। भवाय नमः। भवलिङ्गाय नमः। शर्वाय नमः। शर्वलिङ्गाय नमः। शिवाय नमः। शिवलिङ्गाय नमः। ज्वलाय नमः। ज्वललिङ्गाय नमः। आत्माय नमः। आत्मलिङ्गाय नमः। परमाय नमः। परमलिङ्गाय नमः। एतत् सोमस्य सूर्यस्य सर्वलिङ्गस्थापयति पाणिमन्त्रं पवित्रम्। सद्यो जातं प्रपद्यामि सद्यो जाताय वै नमो नमः। भवे भवेनातिभवे भवस्वमाम्। भवोद्भवाय नमः। वामदेवाय नमो। ज्येष्ठाय नमः। श्रेष्ठाय नमो। रुद्राय नमः। कालाय नमः। कलविकरणाय नमो। बलविकरणाय नमो। बलाय नमो। बलप्रमथनाय नमः। सर्वभूतदमनाय नमो। मनोन्मनाय नमः। अघोरेभ्यो घोरेभ्यो घोरघोरतरेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः सर्वशर्वेभ्यो नमस्ते अस्तु रुद्ररूपेभ्यः। तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्रः प्रचोदयात्। ईशानः सर्वविद्यानाम् ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपतिर्ब्रह्मणोऽधिपतिर्ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो। नमो हिरण्यबाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतय उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः। ऋतगुं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः। सर्वो वै रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु। पुरुषो वै रुद्रः सन्महो नमो नमः। विश्वं भूतं भुवनं चित्रं बहुधा यथा जातं जायमानं च यत् सर्वो ह्येष रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु तद्रुद्राय प्रचेतसे मेयुष्टमाय तव्यसे वोचेमशन्तमगुहृदे सर्वो ह्येष रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Om Sri Sai Ram. My humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagavan. Respected elders and dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. It's been a bit more than 1 year since we have started our International Young Adult Veda program. In these very challenging years, we were able to engage and form such a divine movement all around the world to study the Vedas. It's really a miracle from our beloved Bhagavan that we study so many hymns in a very short times. He's guiding and caring for each one of us with so much love and joy. We would like to immensely thank the facilitators who have dedicated their time, energy, and knowledge in such a loving and disciplined way. How much commitment in learning and chanting the Vedas. How many wonderful experiences we had during our classes and studies. The connection and trust with each of you strengthen our devotion and surrender to our dear Swami. We thank all of you participants for engaging in this arduous and wonderful task of learning the Vedas. We could see the 5 Ds: dedication, devotion, discipline, discrimination, and determination being applied in your daily lives. We are grateful for the audios and videos sent, for being present in the classes, at meetings, and for sharing experiences. We grew a lot together. May we continue on Sai's beautiful mission to study and share the Vedas. In the meeting today, we will have the honor to listen to our dear brothers from Latin America and the USA. Pablo Tristan Poggio is a primary school teacher, programmer, and systems analyst from Argentina. For more than 30 years, he has been an active member in the Sri Sathya Sai organization. He has served it in many roles, and nowadays he's the central coordinator of Region 23, Zone 2B. The deeper meaning of Rudram and other Vedic chants is the subject of a constant self-inquiry and part of talks he has given in different countries of South America during Sri Sathya Sai organization retreats, either for young adults and members in general. Ivan Escalona is a Venezuelan currently living in the USA. His spiritual journey began with Swami in 2006. He was fortunate to perform in Bhagavan's divine presence during the Guru Purnima in 2007 in Prashanti Nilayam. Following Swami's instruction to all devotees, he started learning the Vedas. In 2006, Ivan attended the first Vedan Gurus workshop by the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization of India and obtained a certification as a Vedan Guru. Since then, he has been into Bhagavan's mission of Veda Poshana, teaching the Vedas to many souls. Now, let's listen to them. Jai Sai Ram.
ॐ गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ध्यानमूलं गुरुर्मूर्ति पूजमूलं गुरोः पदम् मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुः कृपा कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि श्रीसत्यसाईश्वरार्नमो नमः. My most prayerful and loving salutations in the divine lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai, respected office bearers of the Sri Sathya Sai organization, esteemed members of the Veda YA Veda program, revered elders, dear brothers and sisters, Om Shri Sai Ram. It is a divine privilege to be addressing you on this day, alongside with my dear brother Pablo.
Also offering my most heartfelt pranams for the lotus feet of Bhagavan, Baba, our Master and Lord. And I would also like to express as well our gratitude for all our respected elders, all the officers of the Sathya Sai International Organization, all the coordinators, all the organizers of this wonderful Veda youth program, youth course, and especially to all of you brothers and sisters, because it is for you and because of you that we are here trying to be part of this mission of rescue and bringing back to its full brightness the Vedic culture. And I think it is meant to be part of our life. We would like to start, and I would like to ask you, Ivan, if you can tell us, how did you meet Swami? Because that is the starting point of all that is happening to us.
Indeed, brother, indeed. It's Swami is the beginning, right? As Sister Erika said, it was in 2006 when I attended a bhajan satsang, a group singing with some friends I knew. Didn't know about Swami or anything, but I was captivated by the bhajans. Then I started to look into what they mean and what this spiritual master was, and I was pretty much hooked, you know. And then 2007 comes, and I was fortunate enough to travel to Parti and participate in the Third World Youth Conference back then. And then I was fortunate enough to be selected to participate in a play for Swami. And this was a life-changing experience for me, the tipping point of my life, because then I realized, experienced how Swami is God. He was just guiding me through the play. I was not given any instructions to my body, and my body was moving anyway. And everything felt perfect, and everything fell in the right place. And I was just experiencing a stream of love and divine love that I've experienced before every time I related to or was inclined to relate to God. But then this was tenfold, you know, it was something amazing. And so that was pretty much how I started with Swami, and then of course the rest is history, right? But the question is that the moment is up now, right? So how about you, brother? When did you start with Swami?
Well, I started perhaps a little bit earlier in terms of time, but what is more important is how many experiences he has given to us, especially internal experiences. But anyway, as this story is also the story of Swami, as some ex-student of Swami taught me once, you know, that we in some way witness what Swami is doing with our lives, with the lives of all the people, even when we go to service. So I would like to tell just a little bit of this story that in some way has a lot to do with this Vedic culture, and we will see that during this conversation. For me, Swami was at the beginning when I was like 16 years old, just a guru of miracles, But when I saw him, I mean, that's what I had been told. But when I saw him on the cover of a book, I really felt, oh, he is. But I didn't know what to say, what else, because I didn't believe in God. I was supposed to be an atheist. But then I felt, he is. And it happened to, 5 years passed till I could travel to Prashanti, to India. Those were hard 5 years in some way, like longing so much to go there. But at the same time, life changed completely in those 5 years. I feel I have a life before, really, really different life before I knew Swami, and after that. We started just like an intense sadhana at some point when I was around 19 years old, along with my mother and sister. And when I had the opportunity to go to Prashanti, and I had the strange opportunity, I was sent to have some interviews with the principal of the primary school, secondary school, and what they told me about how the students live, what was the daily schedule, really amazed me, because it was very similar to what we were doing here in the other part of the world, and without knowing anything about this kind of daily life of the students. So those kind of things were like a reassurance of how Swami was present, not only in Prashanti Nilayam, but everywhere. It's just a matter of calling. And actually, we had some like confirmations of that, we might say. Because, for instance, after the first World Youth Conference, the Latin American people had the opportunity to sing the bhajans, to lead the bhajans inside the mandir. It was really unexpected. We didn't expect that, but after many rehearsals and with a lot of faith, because we didn't have the permission in advance, but Swami gave the permission, we could sing. And, I was playing the harmonium just in front of his throne. He was there. And, of course, I was completely amazed. I didn't know if it was a dream or it was real. But at the same time, there was some kind of familiar feeling. And then I felt inside, I don't know if during the bhajans or afterwards, I really felt, yeah, of course it is familiar, because you are doing it every day. Every day you are singing to me and I am there. And every day you are in front of my throne, just walking the mandir of Prashanti Nilayam. But the feeling was very similar. The situation was very different. And something similar happened during the second World Youth Conference, when Swami gave the last discourse to all the youth, and all the delegates were just in front of him as well. And at some point he said, you don't need to come here. If you do what I'm telling you to do, if you follow my teaching, I will go, and you can read it in the discourse, but what you can't read in the discourse is the way he moved his body, and he really seemed to be embracing us and seemed to be approaching us. That's what I felt, And I felt that Swami was coming to us at that point, and he was promising that he would come. So that was another way to see and to confirm how this kind of life, I might call it, I would like to call it Vedic life. It doesn't matter if we, at those times, we knew about Vedic chanting, but it was a Vedic life. And Swami was coming to us. And then when we went to see him, he would receive us almost in a similar way than he would receive us here, in this place where we have our daily prayer. And there's something also that I would like to say about it, that in the last years of Swami's physical life, had some opportunities to have interactions with him, which in some way was also a reassurance and confirmation, but also had something that is very important, that I heard the Vedic chanting from another point of view, because I had heard it before, that didn't pay attention. And I started reading the meaning of Rudram, and all that. And that has changed many things, even our sadhana. And now, after so many years, we are again chanting together and having our daily prayers together with mother and sister, but mostly focused on Vedic chanting. And we will talk a little bit more about that later on. But can you tell us, please, Ivan, how did you started with this Vedic chanting, or how did you started with Veda?
Absolutely, brother. But I think we have some videos from the youth around the world. So I think it's also important for us to listen about their experience as well. So just so it's not just the two of us speaking, right? How about that?
Yeah, please. It will be so nice.
Mi relación con los Vedas surge de una necesidad interna, de un llamado. Y ahora tengo la maravillosa oportunidad de estar participando en este programa de jóvenes adultos. Y agradezco infinitamente a Swami por eso. Y a Swami en todas las manifestaciones, de todos los roles, de todo lo que estamos compartiendo allí. Cada clase es alimento, es nutrición para mí, para mi alma, para todo mi ser. Y yo he tenido algunos inconvenientes en el transcurso, sin embargo, Swami siempre está instándome a continuar y lo hace de muchas maneras. Yo sé que la recitación es el primer paso, es solo un paso, pero estoy allí, estoy dando el primer paso y el primer paso es indispensable para continuar profundizando. Om Sai Ram.
Prasanaho, Sathya Sai Ram. Sai Ram, hermanos, decirles que con el canto de los Vajans estamos hace muchos años atrás, pero ahora recién con la práctica y el estudio de los Vedas me doy cuenta lo importante que es el saber cantar a la divinidad y practicar los mantras. Una otra cosa también que la siento y la vivo es que creo que la entonación de los mantras y los cantos me protegen todo el tiempo. Así lo siento y así lo vivo. Sai Ram, hermanos. Prasanaho, 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 Sathya Sai Ram.
Saram, my name is Sasank and I'm from Australia in Zone 3. I've been a part of the weekly Vedam classes recently, and Vedam has always been very interesting and fascinating to me. When I chant the Vedam and particularly the Rudram, it really fills me with positivity, particularly more lately, having understood the meaning of particular words in Sanskrit has really helped me connect with the Vedam, as well as also with the bhajans we sing, as we see a lot of similar words in the bhajans, and that helps me ultimately connect with Swami better. So overall, I've really loved learning the Vedam. Saram.
Sai Ram. I believe I'm very fortunate to have got this opportunity to learn Vedam, which is indeed the sound of God. We learn not only how to chant Vedam, but with its meaning, which makes it even more special, thanks to my learning group. Learning and chanting Vedam has increased my confidence in my real self and has made me calmer. Every day I begin chanting Vedam, I take this calmness and confidence in real self to my workplace, and I find that things flow despite difficult situations. My heartfelt gratitude to Swami for giving me this opportunity to learn Veda. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brothers and sisters. I'm Sai Prema. I believe Veda has powers beyond our understanding. It's a special connection between you, the universe, and God. Before embarking into this journey, I've always wished to learn Veda because the sound of Veda intrigued me. Now, I'm blessed to be part of this journey because learning Veda brought so much clarity and joy. I'm drawn towards learning Veda because it elevates my soul to a different spiritual level, and I've experienced bliss and gratefulness for this life. I've understood that no matter what plans you have, God has bigger plans for you. And Vedic chanting has been my companion and pillar to face the challenges as a young adult. Sairam.
Sairam everyone. My name is Shaktivel. First of all, I would like to thank the facilitators for their efforts in teaching the Vedas. Growing up, I always had the interest in learning the Veda, but did not have the proper guidance. So I'm grateful to be a part of this program. Learning the Veda has definitely impacted me in many different ways. It surely gives some clarity to your thoughts, especially when I'm anxious or down. Reciting the Veda has made me feel better and makes me come in peace with the challenges that I face. Besides that, most importantly, when you're looking for answers to your questions in your spiritual pursuit, reciting the Veda somehow reveals the answers to your questions. The answers might not be literally present within the verses, but in a way it elevates your mind and changes your perspective towards your circumstances. I really enjoy being in this program, and I hope I become capable enough to contribute to these efforts in the future. Thank you, Sairam.
Introducir el canto de los Vedas en mi práctica espiritual diaria me han permitido conectarme mejor con mi corazón, con mi ser interior donde está el asiento de Paramatma. De esa manera llevar mejor mis roles de la vida, en especial mi rol de madre. Escuchar a los acharyas, practicarlos y recitarlos diariamente y con disciplina le han permitido a mi familia, en especial a mis hijos, cantarlos con mayor facilidad.
De recitarlos tanto me ha llevado a tener amor por Dios y sentir devoción, y de sentir devoción realicé la fe.
Desde que yo nací tuve a los Vedas presentes en mi vida. De ellos obtuve una vida sencilla y un pensamiento más elevado.
Om Sairam. Eu posso dizer que o poder dos hinos védicos, o poder dos Vedas no meu dia a dia pode ser comparado a um alimento espiritual muito precioso que nutre os meus corpos, que me purifica, que expande minha consciência para outros níveis, que me alinha, que me traz uma proximidade com a minha fonte interna. Eu percebo um casamento mais que perfeito entre os princípios védicos e os ensinamentos de Sathya Sai. Eles me inspiram a viver os desafios da jornada da vida com aderência ao Dharma. Eles me encantam, me trazem uma alegria. E só por essa atração eu tenho vontade de aprender a cantá-los mais corretamente e também de poder compartilhar essa preciosidade com as pessoas que têm afinidade. Então eu sou muito grata por esse presente na vida. Om Sairam.
Sairam. My name is Sanjeevan and I am from Australia in Zone 3. I first came across Vedam when we had lessons just before my first pilgrimage to Prashanti Nilayam in 2019. However, I didn't make most of the opportunity at the time and understand the importance of Vedam. Through our weekly Vedam lessons, I've started to understand the importance and significance of Vedam. On days that I wake up early to practice, I can feel that the energy sustains me throughout the day. Also, learning the meaning of words and phrases has opened my eyes to the beautiful meaning of several bhajans and mantras that we chant at center. This has been an incredible opportunity to stay connected to Sai during a time of lockdown. Sairam.
Om Shri Sai Ram. My name is Arabi and I come from New Zealand, and it's been a privilege to have been part of the International Young Adult Veda program as a learner. I signed up to the program last year purely for my own self. I wanted to learn more of the different Vedic texts and get better at chanting. But now my aspirations have changed. I would love to get better at Veda chanting, not only for myself, but in future because I'd love to be able to give back to other people and give them the opportunity to learn Vedam. I've noticed even just chanting a line, you might not necessarily understand the meaning of what you're chanting, but the act of chanting alone provides so much energy. And if I can give back in future, I think that'd be beautiful. And it makes so much sense to me now as to why Swami always reiterated the concept of learning Vedam. So my goal is to get better at my own learning, not purely for myself anymore, but so I can give back to others and so they can experience that same positive energy. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. My humble pranams and gratitude to beloved Swami for accepting me as your student, Swami, for this Vedam class. It's a great opportunity from Sathya Sai International Organization, and I have gained a lot from the classes, not just to learn Vedam as it is, but two main aspects especially. One is the calmness that we gain throughout the lessons, throughout self-learning also after the classes, because in an intense time, learning Vedam is definitely challenging, but in that intensity, when we are able to focus word and pronunciation term by term, there's actually a deeper calmness in it. And secondly is the focus point itself, the ability to focus throughout the learning, as much as we want to finish up the certain Vedas, but that focus is so important and it helps us to really sharpen our mind in this process of learning. So I thank for this opportunity. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. One thing that has changed in my day-to-day life is that I'm able to control my feelings better after starting to learn Vedam with this program. It has helped me learn more about Vedam, its benefits, and also learn more Vedam chants. As a Vedam learner, I would like to learn more about more chants and more benefits that it can possibly give me in the future. Sai Ram.
So I think it was beautiful to listen to all the YAs across the world, see how they started their path and how it's been, what their experiences has been. I think that the common thread in all of them is deep love to Swami, and I like what one brother said about Swami chosen him to be his student. And definitely, I feel that is the thread for all of us. See, in my case, I was on in a kind of like yes and no situation with the whether I would start learning. I liked the sound of them every time I listened to them, but then I was always hearing that we have to adhere to our own culture, and that Vedas were not for us but for Hindu people, and I was like back and forth with that idea. Finally, something prompted me to start learning in 2008, and then Swami confirmed in August that year that definitely we should learn, not just Indians but everyone across the world, because the Vedas, in the end, the Vedas are universal. And so I started learning. It was a challenging path. He said also that we should learn the Rudram by his birthday that year in 2008. Of course, I didn't, right? It's such a long chant, and I was just actually thinking, well, I was learning everything by heart. That was also something that I had, and to learn everything by heart. And then I was like, well, I started with the Rudram now. That was I think in October or so, and I was like, well, maybe by the end of my life, I probably will have the Namakam Chamakam finish. But then time passed, and 3 years after, I not only had the Namakam Chamakam, but also the Purusha Suktam, Durga Suktam, and all the small Suktams, and I had them by memory. And it was only because of the grace of Swami. So that's more or less how I started my path. How about you, brother? What prompted you? And you mentioned something. What is the rest of that story?
Well, Actually, it was, as I told you, that going to Prashanti, perhaps it happened to you as well. You know, we saw that the Veda chanting has taken a very important place in the daily activities, and even during darshan, which was so different than what we have seen before. At least my experience before that. And then when started to read, you know, like the meaning, or the meaning, especially of the Namakam, the Rudram in general, and especially the Namakam, I was really amazed for many reasons. One, because it was like a practical, you know, like coming to the day, bringing to the daily life this unity that we were talking about all the time, you know. But in the Namakam, I could feel that it's not a matter of, you know, an intellectual understanding. I could feel that in those words, the unity was really happening. I mean, was really being in some way highlighted, and I was really starting to understand a little bit. But also, it made a lot of sense because in those times, as I mentioned, that I had no belief in any God, not believing God in a superior being. Once I remember reading some books of Hermann Hesse, and in one of these books, they were telling about a concept of God who, in some way, that God was universal and everything was included in that God. And that made sense to me. I could accept that idea of God. I didn't became like, I didn't start believing in God, but it was the first time I could in some way accept it. And now, so many years after, I was finding the same feeling, the same concept in Rudram. But actually, it happens with all religions, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned, brother, because you know that unity. It reminded me of something that I experienced as well when I was a kid about how the unity of religions was a thing. Because to me, I thought, you know, God wouldn't punish you or just have one only religion, because typically these are things that are more cultural and about where are you born. So I was thinking, you know, why Christians would be above Hindus or vice versa, and so in my reflections, I as a kid, I said, you know, as long as you love God and you follow the principles, doesn't matter what religion you're on. And then when it came to Swami, it was really amazing to me to see how this exact feeling was there. And you can see in some of Swami's quotes. There's one in particular that I really like about Swami that I found. It said, no one knows exactly when the Vedas were collated in their present form. Balagangadhar Tilak surmised that it must have happened about 13,000 years ago. Others bring the date down to 6,000 years ago, but all agree that it was beyond at least 4,000 years ago. And Buddha is a historical figure who lived about 2,500 years ago. Christ was born 1969 years ago, and Islam was formed 600 years later. So chronologically as well as logically, the inference is correct that the Vedic Dharma is the grandfather, Buddhism is the son, Christianity is the grandson, Islam is the great-grandson. If there is a misunderstanding between them, it is but a family affair. The ancestral property of which all are co-sharers is the same. Bhagavan Sathya Sai Baba, October 14th, 1969. So, you know, this quote really resonated with me because as I could see, Swami indeed was not putting one religion above the other. You know, some people would say, well, the grandfather would be the greatest one, but then, you know, Rama was a son, and he was a greater than his father. So it's not a competition there, right? It's all in a family affair, right? So this unity of religions and the universality of them, that's of the Vedas. That's really what I think was really important. How Vedas are universal. That's what we've been seeing, and that's Swami's message in this one, right?
Yeah, you know, that's beautiful and so important quote of Swami. Reminds me this phrase that we say very often, you know, things finished what they started. And I would like to share with you and with all brothers and sisters a story, well, some steps of a story that I have heard that to other people also have had that kind of experience. And in some way, this is just symbolic of something that has happened to many one of us. You know, as I told you, I had no religion. I had perhaps some mystical concepts. I was very fond, you know, of the pyramids and all the Egypt ancient culture that attracted me. But you know what Swami did? Well, now I realize after so many years, I realize that he did that because I knew Swami, I knew about Swami, and I was reading a lot and I liked a lot what he said. But it was mostly philosophical. You know, I didn't get in touch with the devotional aspect and all that. And then what happened? I was 17 years old and I was invited to go to Egypt. Everything free and for a whole month in Egypt. And then some more 2 months more months in another country of Africa. So it was amazing because I could, you know, like satisfy all my curiosity, but something else happened. While I was alone there, I was touched by the devotion of the Muslim people. And I also started developing like an internal devotion to Swami, which I couldn't do that when I was at home, you know, so everything started happening. I also had already started reading stories about Jesus because of the inspiration that Swami gave. I mean, it was knowing Swami, meeting Swami, reading from Swami that inspired me to do something that I really rejected before, to read, you know, about Jesus, to read the Bible. And I could understand many things in the Bible, which I never thought that they were there. So many profound teachings. And during that trip, actually in Egypt, it happened something very strong, very powerful for me. You know, last time I went to visit the pyramids, it was the seventh time. I was just about to leave the country, and it was like very important for me that time. But when I got there, around 500 meters before getting to the place, I was stopped. Nobody could get in that day because there was a very grand international event. People were coming from all over the world to see some kind of opera or something like that in the pyramids. So I was really sad, upset, even angry. And I was crying, you know, standing in the middle of the street. And I was looking at the pyramids there and I couldn't get to them in this last visit. But suddenly I realized what I had in front of me. I had, at my left, there were the pyramids. At my right, there was a very big and beautiful mosque, Islamic, you know, temple. And in front of me, there was the very big orange sunset sun. And I could feel inside me very clearly, like the orange sun, which was Swami for me, was telling me, listen, these the pyramids are the ancient spirituality, the ancient religion. This, the mosque, is a modern spirituality. And I, Swami, the sun, I come to unite all of them. So when I heard that, I was completely satisfied. I was completely happy. I could go away. I was no more upset. And then when we went to this other country, Zimbabwe in the south, I could even join the activities of the Salvation Army Church, something that I never expected to do. You know, I had so many prejudices with that, you know, and then many things like that happened. Even when coming back to our town, so years later, we could, you know, support the Catholic local temple or chapel because there were no activities. And Swami has mentioned that there is a saying that goes, you should never sleep in a town where there is no temple, in a village where there is no temple. And you know, in some way, I mean, the only temple those times was our little prayer room, but the main Catholic temple for all the people was mostly inactive. And with the support of the priest, of the bishop, we could, you know, do our part to try to, like bring activities to that temple, and then slowly and very naturally we just left. But that was something also inspired by Swami. But what happened next after so many experiences with religions? I found Vedam. Vedam as chanting, as a discipline, as a ritual, as a way of connecting with God. We all found. And what happens now, as I mentioned, that is what we are doing every day, as not the only thing, of course, but as a daily discipline, as a daily practice, as a sadhana. So everything finished where it began, we might say. And Swami says something about it. And I would like if we can share also this quote of Swami. It says, the Vedas are eternal truths. They existed even before the people of this land discovered, practiced, and experienced them. Just as Western physicists announced the existence of gravitation after their experiments, the ancients of this land demonstrated the innate authenticity of the Vedas through their own experience. Here too, the Veda existed long before it was discovered and put into practice. Newton's laws of gravitation benefited the whole world. They express universal truths applicable to all places and times. They are not confined to Western countries only. So too, the Veda is truth, not merely for Bharat, but for all people on earth. And we have confirmed this. This is something that we have confirmed in our life, really. But we know that Veda is not only about chanting. Isn't it so, Ivan?
Yes, brother. And actually, Swami's quote clearly says it, because it's not about just discovering, and it's about practicing and experience it. And as such, the Vedas, and some people sometimes are misguided on this. They think Vedam is just the mantras, the chanting of these mantras. But Vedas are more than that. It's just also there are principles and philosophy and teachings in them. Not just philosophy for a higher life, but also for how to lead your daily life. And it's also not just these texts. Veda itself means knowledge, as they have mentioned. And there's an interesting story about this. There was this Vedic scholar whom people have heard of, Kamavadani Garu. He was with Swami until he was 100 years old, and he was a scholar of Vedic chanting. He knew the Vedas by memory. It was something amazing. But the thing is that someone actually came to him, and sometime asked him, Kamavadani Garu, is everything that Swami says in the Veda? And then Kamavadani, with a strange look, looks at him and says, not only everything that Swami says is in the Vedas, but everything that Swami says is Vedas. Yeah. That is really a good way to summarize it, because everything that Swami has taught us is also Vedas. So if we want to practice the Vedas, if we want to practice Swami's teachings, we're actually practicing the Vedas, and the other way around as well. So in that spirit, actually, let's actually get started to see what the Vedas say about this practice that we can see of. If we can have this next quote. It's from the Brihad Naradiya Purana. Harer Nama Namaiva Kevalam Kalau Nasteva Gatiranyatha. In the age of Kali, there is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way to achieve the goal or liberation other than chanting the name of the Lord Hari. Name of the Lord Hari. The name of the Lord Hari. And it's funny, because this actually is something that Swami has mentioned in 3 or 4 discourses, one in Ramanavami in 2004. So we can see this, but some people might think, but this is only saying that you can achieve liberation only through the name of God. And what about the service? What about the knowledge of all these things? But the Vedas have this thing. Even Swami has said, and sometimes people might be discouraged about the Vedas or learning the Vedas because they feel that maybe they're contradicting. Like they read something here and then it seems like it contradicts something else in other place, right? But even the Vedas have the solution for this, as we can see on the next quote. This is from the Manusmriti. Shruti-tvaidham tu yatra syat tatra dharma ubhau smrtau ubhapi hitau dharmau samyagukto manishibhihi. But when two sacred texts of Shruti are conflicting, both are held to be dharma, for both are pronounced by the wise to be dharma. So this is actually, when I came across this one, it all makes sense now. In the Sai organization actually embodies this principle because you have the three branches, the main wings, right? Devotion, service, and education, which could be seen as bhakti, karma, and jnana, as in the Bhagavad Gita. And then it's really interesting because sometimes you might feel that these are conflicting because Swami would praise one over the other. Then how come both be one could be both could be the greatest, right? That's beyond our mind. But then the Vedas are in here saying just follow whichever one. I mean, both are all those contradictions, right, are not so. In the end, they will merge into the ultimate goal of liberation. And then just following one dharma, it's one of these dharmas is enough. So that is there what this is saying. And so
no problem. Sorry.
Yes.
That's what you said. I have always thought about that many times, and actually that our wings in the Sri Sathya Sai organization are reflecting these three paths, these margas. And I have always felt that, I have heard that being explained. And the other day, I was looking, but when did I hear it? How can I in some way have some, some source of that? And I was going through the webinars of this Vedic course, and it was also said in one of these webinars. It's a very profound truth, and for me, I'm so grateful to Swami because in his incredible way, he has put us in the three margas at the same time, even without knowing. We don't know that we are doing that.
Exactly.
And everything is integrated. So.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And this. You had something to share with us about this Vedic vibrations that this mantras, which are of course important. It's not that just practicing the principles or just experiencing. It's just all together, right? So it's the mantras, the principles, the philosophy, all of that together, right? So what can you tell us about these vibrations? You had some good insights on that.
The point is that is the experience I have. It's an experience that I have, and I also was looking for some, like, okay, what is the source of that? Where did I get that this is so powerful? Why these verses, we can call it verses, mantras or whatever, why are they so powerful? But then it was with you that we found some texts of Swami, talking about Sanskrit and how it is the root of all languages. So what I really feel, and I know it's there in some way, that it is a real truth, is that this language of Sanskrit is very close, we might say, to what it is mentioning. I mean, if I say prema, it has the energy of love. While all the words in all the languages can be termed as conventions, and we don't know when another one is saying something in another language. I really feel that prema and any word in Sanskrit has the energy of that it's saying, it's mentioning. So just imagine if that is the case, and in some way we are given we might say like the secret of life, like the secret of how life has been created. I mean, all the creation was created by sound. And this is the sounds that we are repeating. We are repeating something that is so close to the creation. So just imagine the power of a prayer done in that way. Just imagine, for instance, If we are saying during the Namakam, we are chanting and we are saying, we pray to attain you, Lord, by our auspicious words. We ask that for all our days, this entire world will be free from ills and discord, and that we may live in amity and concord. Just imagine if that is getting real by the power of the mantra. I know. Can you chant that part for us so we can listen to the meaning and to the vibration?
Of course. Shiven vachasa tvagirishathavadamasi yathana sarvamijjagada yakshmagum sumana asat.
You know, another part of the Namakam, it says, you, O showerer of blessings, with your weapons and the bow in your hand, completely protect us. And I really believe that that is happening when we chant it, because we chant it with all our heart and we chant it with the correct and prescribed vibrations. Can you chant it as well?
Yate hetirmedhusta mahatte vabhuvate dhanuhu tayasman vishwatastvama paribhuja.
I really feel the power of the prayer when I hear it, and I hear it and I chant it every day, and still I feel amazed by its power. There's another part which is very much important for me, because you know it's very human to feel like a little bit disappointed about the weakness of you know the little children, the old people, and everything in life. You know, of course. This is just an illusion, and we have to accept whatever happens as the will of God. But there is also a human part that is addressed by this wonderful, you know, Rudra, that also considers that. And then it says, "Oh Lord Rudra, afflict not the elders in our midst, nor the tender babe, nor the procreating youth, nor the child in the womb, nor the father or mother, nor our bodies dear to us." Even our bodies we are praying for, you know, and that is so strong, so human to feel like that. So this is a part that I also chant with all my heart. Well, I try to chant everything with all my heart, but this part is more like it's highlight in itself, you know. Can you chant it as well?
Yes. Mano mahanta mutamano arbhakam mana ukshanta mutamana ukshitam mano vadhe pitaram mota mataram priyamanastanuvorudrarerishaha.
Yeah, and just to mention one more, you know, in this part of the Chamakam, it says, "Oh, let us be free, or make us free from bodily ailments, ensuring longevity, circumventing ultimately death, devoid of enemies and antagonism, assured bountiful sleep, and a very successful and glamorous day and dawn." What else can we ask for? What else can we ask for our, daily and even superficial life? Nothing else. And this prayer is done with the power of the mantra. Once again, please, Ivan.
Yes. Jevatushcha me dirghayuttam cha me namitram cha me bhayam cha me sugam cha me shayanam cha me susha cha me sudinam cha me.
Well, thank you a lot for chanting these parts. You know, it happened to me similar to you, but not the same, because I also, when I started learning, it was so difficult to follow, so difficult. It was really painful at some point. And I remember having there in Prashanti one thought, you know, one kind of desire. I say, oh, I hope that by the end of my life, I could chant it without reading. You know, perhaps not perfectly, but at least without reading.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what happened? Some years later, there in Prashanti, I went to daily, you know, sadhana with, actually I call it Veda Darshan. And when I was there and I was sitting down, I realized that I forgot the book. And then, you know, I started, okay, I'll try to follow. Oh, but I like to chant everything. How I was very sad because of that. And then I started chanting, and I realized that I could follow almost all the Rudram, all the Namakam at least. Of course, I still have a lot to improve in the pronunciation and all that. That's why I prefer you to chant it. But anyway, and just to mention something, when I read this, and when I was hearing what was said in other webinars, about just like chant Rudram and be protected and be safe, Swami said. And then I was, the question may arise, and if we are chanting Rudram every day, why do we still have problems? Why do we still have some perhaps not very nice situations and some dangerous even situations? Why we still have some stressful situations in our life? But then, immediately it came to me something. Just imagine a bucket full of water, but it's transparent. You can see the water inside. Mm-hmm. And the water is not clean, it's not transparent. It has some ink, dark ink, and it's actually quite dark, the water. What can you do? And that could be our karma, everything that we have to go through. And what can you do to make the water clean and our karmic account clean? But just imagine that Rudram, just a service, of course, but Rudram, you are pouring pure water into that bucket. If you pour and pour and pour water, there will come a time in all this water will become pure and transparent as well, our karmic account. So I really believe that, and that is also the feeling behind it. Of course, this is an offering. This is not for the results, but the results may come when Swami wills it. And that is something very important, because also, it's not only about chanting, it's about how do we live, isn't it so?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And coming back to the topic of the webinar, the key to bridging the very abstract jnana or knowledge path and the realization that we're God, and the very high, even inexplicable or even you can put into words that the concepts of the divinity and leading our daily life, the Vedas bridged this gap by the means of Dharma. Vedas and Dharma are so interrelated between the two. I'm reminded of two quotes. Whenever I think of this bridge, I'm reminded of two quotes of Swami. Both were in the same discourse on November 23rd in 1962. One says, "My love toward the Veda is equal only by my love toward humanity. My mission, remember, is just fourfold: the fostering of the Vedas, Veda Poshana, and Vedic scholars, Vidvat Poshana, the protection of Dharma, Dharma Sthapana, and devotees, Bhakta Rakshana. Spreading my grace and my power along these four directions, I establish myself in the center." So you see how there is Dharma and Vedas in Swami's mission, and this Swami's fourfold mission. Those are the key points. Of course, the protection of the devotees, but Swami doesn't need to incarnate to achieve that. He's protecting us every time, right? But then for this explicit protection and promotion and fostering of the Vedic scholars and Vedas, and then by achieving that, that's how you achieve the Dharma Sanstapana, right? And then in the next quote, we can actually see why that is so. Because Swami have said in this quote, "Do not be too conceited, feeling that the avatar has come for you particularly. I have come for the sake of Dharma." And how is the avatar to guard the Dharma? Well, the Vedas are the root of Dharma. Vedo khilo Dharma moolam. When the Vedas remain unharmed, that is to say, when the Vedic scholars are unharmed, the Veda will remain evergreen in the heart of people. That was the same discourse, right? So it is really amazing how interconnected they are. Because, of course, these are concepts and philosophy which we can think of, but then it's not just about thinking, it's also about doing. Satyam vada dharmam chara, right? So speak the truth, act what is righteous, right? So in that spirit, I think, and then they are connected. The Vedas are the root of Dharma. It's like a tree. So if you cut the top part, if the roots are still living and unharmed, then the tree can keep growing. But if you cut the roots, which in this case are the Vedas, then the tree dies. They are interconnected. The Vedas are gives the rules. That's what it is, right? You have, yes, and also I think you found something interesting, and you have a way of explaining this also, right, brother?
Oh yeah. Well, this is, I mean, we would like to share just this kind of symbol of how it works. You know, due to the background, perhaps the arrows are not so clear, but if you just try to look at the arrows, we can see here that Swami is the one who fosters Vedas, and is the one who is promoting Dharma in its pure essence and according to everyone's and good for everyone. But Vedas also are fostering Dharma, also are the root of Dharma. So, and those Dharma and Vedas are the one who nurtures our lives. So in this very simple, diagram, we can in some way remember all the time how these are our, hands, Dharma, Vedas, our sources, the sources of everything we do. And what is the source of Dharma and Vedas? Okay, Swami, God.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely, brother. And, to continue to expand on how we can, the Vedas are about application and how they can be lead to practice. Of course, there are treatises which are highly philosophical, but then the Dharma Shastra, particularly the Manusmriti, as Swami has said, it's the utmost treaty on Dharma. And you can see, for instance, in this quote, next quote that we have, it's from the Manusmriti. If you see the first part, it's actually the same as what Swami was saying before. Vedo kilo dharma mulam. Vedo kilo dharma mulam. Smritishile cha tadvidam. Acharashchaiva sadhunam. Atmanastushtireva cha. The whole Veda is the first source of sacred dharma, of sacred law, next to the tradition and the virtuous conduct of those who know the Vedas. Also, the costumes by holy men, and finally, self-satisfaction. Sometimes we flip it, right? We start first thinking that the rules are whatever I choose, I think first, and then lastly, what Swami says. So as we can see, the Swami and the Vedas are pretty much the same. First, we have to see what the Vedas say, and that is the sacred source of the Dharma, of the law, right? Of the divine law. In the next one, we can also see how Swami have said, talked about this. Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat na bruyat satyam apriyam priyam chananrutam bruyat esha dharma sanatanaha. Also from the Manusmriti, let him say what is true, let him say what is pleasing, let him utter no disagreeable truth, let him utter no agreeable falsehood. That is the eternal law. And this is actually Swami has quoted this a number of times about speaking softly, speaking what is truth, even if something is disagreeable, not to utter any falsehood or such and such, right? So this we see, and this is actually a practical way to live, and which is in the Vedas, and which actually, since it's Dharma, it's taking us to that goal as cleaning that bucket, as you were saying, brother, right? And then there a couple more. Swami also said that if you can chant anything, any mantra, at least chant the Gayatri. Swami says, right? Well, let's see what it says here. Savitri matra saropi varam viprasu yantritaha nayantritas trivedopi sarvashi sarva vikrayi. Also from the Manusmriti. A Brahmana who completely governs himself though he knows the Savitri or the Gayatri mantra only, is better than he who knows the three Vedas but does not control himself, right? So two things here, right? So the Gayatri, it's the most important one, and we have to practice it and chant it every day, but also controlling ourselves, again, not just the mantras and the knowledge, but also the practical side of it, right? That also is what is important. I could go on, and it's so amazing. For instance, there's this thing in the Vishnu Purana which deals with what the rules are for be happy in life. And one of the rules is in a marriage is that the married couple should not speak to anyone about their married life, except for those who know and are with the intent of helping. You know, those who know, in this case, about the Vedas and all the Dharma, right? And this is amazing because we have actually done that in our marriage. We agreed from the beginning, let's not, even if we have any problem, any discussion that we have, as married couples, of course, have from time to time, let us just keep it between ourselves. And this has been a blessing for us because I guess it doesn't dissipate the energy to anyone else, unless it's something that neither of us know how to deal with, and then we can definitely resolve to those who know, right? And this is one of the things. And then also, of course, the Vedas, by honoring the mother and the father, right? Matrudevo bhava, pitrudevo bhava, acharya devo bhava, atiti devo bhava. How honor your mother as God, honor your father as God, honor your gurus or your teachers as God, and honor the guest. But the word guest, is everyone else, actually. That's what it means. Those who are beyond that place that we were talking about. And then, it's really interesting, and to me it's really amazing about this. It's all about Swami and all the advices that Swami has for us, right? What do you think, brother? There are some advices that Swami has given us, right?
Well, it's always so nice to see how everything that Swami says is Vedas, and everything that the Vedas says is in Swami's teachings as well, And actually, there are so many things that are yet to be read. Why I say this? Because we can read all Swami's books, but the understanding is every time more profound and more profound. Swami is teaching us through books, through experiences, through this wonderful and so blessed Veda course. So Swami is teaching us all the time, and as we go growing, we understand things in a more profound way. So we will discover ultimately that Swami is just teaching us Vedas. Teaching us the Vedic wisdom, the Vedic philosophy. That is what he's doing with us. We have all, as you said at the beginning, and as our brother said, we have all become Swami's students. That's what we are really. That's why sometimes I remember when I started reading Swami's discourses, I say, oh, but why this Swami is only talking to the students? What about us, And many times, and he has no problem in saying, oh, they're students, boys and girls, or men and women, but what about us, the rest of the world? No, we are all students of Swami. And Swami, we are all actually Vedic students. But he's also teaching us very clearly and very particularly about everything in life. And just going again through some chapters of some Vahinis, which I knew that Swami was talking a lot about Vedas, just like in the Sathya Sai Vahini, for instance, I found another powerful teaching of him. And at the beginning I say, oh, what does it have to do with Vedas? Oh, it has everything to do, because Vedas are for our daily life, for all the aspects of our life, internal, every level of our life, external, everything. Just let's go to that teaching, just to have an idea.
And if Swami have said it, then it's Vedas, right?
It's Veda. And what does the Veda say? Wealth piled up through unfair means is a result of exploitation of the blood of the poor. Young people should not become slaves of such unfair existence and should not adopt exploitation as a means of living. Even God will not forgive such selfish, exploitative lives. He who piles up wealth without enjoying or giving to others will be damned after death, and the progeny of such people will also be damned. And not only Vedas, but it reminded me of many things that I have read in the Bible, and that sometimes I say, oh, you know, this is too strong, too powerful. But is it like that? Vedas, Bible, everything is just the Swami's words. From our point of view, you know, we say
Yes.
Swami, it's God, it's the avatar.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely, brother. And you know, continuing with this to close up, right? The Vedas, as Swami have said before, can also be seen as a service. Even the chanting. If you Swami has said that if you lead a righteous or a dharmic life, that in itself is a great service, because you're an example. First, you do no harm, and then you're an example to others, right? But even then, chanting the Vedas, the powerful vibrations and energy that they are, counter this the effect of these bad karmas that the world is supporting, right? And back in the day, in 2009, I think, or 10, Vinay Kumar, one of the one devotee came to him and asked him, what should we do to counter these bad karmas that the earth was supporting, and he was supporting on behalf of the earth. And Swami said, do service to the poor and chant Vedam, chant the Rudram in particularly. So see, even just by chanting, that is in itself a great service. Of course, it's not just that, but then, you know, it's part of a sum, right? And then, so it's been a great talking with you, brother, and sharing with all the brothers and sisters. But sometimes we feel overwhelmed by all these things that we have to do, and that sometimes we fail at doing. Of course, I mean, I'm not going to talk for you, but I definitely have had my falls and keep trying, right? Yes, but it's just part of the process, of course. But some people might feel, I cannot do all these rules, so how do I practice Dharma? And if Dharma is the only thing that will lead me to that path, the Vedas, and again, of course, Swami has the answer for this. If we go to the last quote, please. Natmanamavamanyeta purvabhirasa mriddhibhihi amrityo shriyaman vichet ninam manyeta durlabham. The Brahmana shall not despise himself by reason of former failures. Until death he should seek fortune, and he should never think the fortune to be unattainable. That's in Manusmriti 4:137. And I like to end the session with this quote, because it is indeed inspiring to us to think that even if we keep failing over and over after being years and years in this path, and we still think we haven't done any progress, at least in here it's saying, let's keep trying. Let's not despise ourselves, and let us not stop trying, because to seek the fortune and think that it's unattainable. The biggest fortune that we can have is liberation and nearness to God. So just by, if Dharma is the way to the goal, let us keep trying. Let us keep trying, because that in itself will be Dharma. And just by trying, sincerely trying, that is going to be enough. I thank you, Brother Pablo, and thank you, everyone. Shri Sathya Sai Arpanamastu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Jai Sai Ram.
Respected elders and dear brothers and sisters, we are so thankful to our dearest Lord for providing us this opportunity and the time to spread the divine knowledge imparted through the sacred Vedas. It's an honor to listen to our brothers Pablo Tristan and Escalona. It was such an amazing talk. It touches my heart a lot. Thank you so much for this enlightening and inspiring presentation. Thank you for motivating us to continue our journey through the Vedas. Also, to watch all these beautiful videos from young adults all over the world was such an amazing inspiration. It's really a blessing to apply the knowledge of the Vedas in our daily lives. We hope that the participants have benefited from your experience and message of Vedas for humanity in modern life. Your message reminds us that the Veda is the repository of knowledge, and through the Veda, one can know the code of right knowledge and right duty in our journey from birth to death. On behalf of the young adults, we thank our respected elders, the young adult leaders across the zones and countries, and Veda resource persons who have been an immense support to the young adult learners and the trainers. Your continuous support and love have largely contributed to the learning process. Dear Swami, we pray for your divine guidance, love, and blessings to continue our sadhana, the journey within through the Vedas. Dear brothers and sisters, our next Veda webinar will be in 16th of October, and the speaker is not confirmed yet. Please kindly await for more details. Jai Sai Ram.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति